Hey guys, this is here bringing you another video. Welcome back to not challenge or spectate, but we are officially on like rankings watching the second best Ambessa in the world on like League of Graphs rank. So they'll be pretty good nonetheless. And what's interesting is this champion I've noticed, especially being now Apex tier for the past month, she is a scary champion. But I think she's basically a modern Riven that, without sounding too bad, and I think most people would agree, because of her mobility, her combos, trying to intertwine everything, she's not going to be a champion that is you know, amazingly in average ranks or lower ranks. But the higher rank you get, the more people can utilize this champion, the scarier she will be. So obviously, me maining top lane now, I've thought about picking up Ambessa. I've played against Ambessas and they are scary, and there are multiple ways to play her. And the way that this player that I've seen in their match history briefly, they seem to go very all-out aggression. So you can see enemy team was looking for an invade. The Fiora thought about going into that bush, thought against it, but then was like, I'll be all right. And lo and behold, the Ambessa was in there. So Grasp the Undying, Ignite, Teleport as her sums. She's against a Grasp the Undying Fiora, who again, Fiora is one of the most powerful 1v1 duelists in the game. But one of the things that was noticeable from the match history of this player's Ambessa games is they play kind of full out lethality Ambessa. And what's weird to me is they're doing that with also going Grasp the Undying. You wouldn't think you'd go Grasp the Undying and then go lethality full damage. But I think honestly, Grasp the Undying, it may need some nerfs. Like, it's just too consistently good. And that's the thing. If there is a rune that is too consistent, then you know, you're taking it above everything else because it's just that consistent, it probably is a little bit too strong. So level 2 hit, Ignite all in for Miss Ambessa. Flash already being used by the Fiora, but that just doesn't have the damage. Is close though. Ambessa hasn't really finished off the kill. Is going to potentially continue for it. Fiora is trying to regen. Ambessa very low. Oh my god, this fight. Waiting for cooldowns. W used. Q. Oh my god, that wasn't well played by the Ambessa. So it does even show like this is rank 2 Ambessa technically in the world. Mistakes do happen. I think she was actually hilariously a bit too tentative right near the end. I think if she just walked over her, like when they were both about here, I think Ambessa could have got the kill. All right, so now what you're probably going to see in this type of top lane situation, if they can keep the wave in this general area, even though Fiora got a first blood, you know, kill, you actually can screw the enemy top laner a lot more in the long run by basically denying farm. What will be even bigger, by the way, and I would say it would be crazy if it happens, and it looks like it might. If the Fiora dies here, it's a really, really, really bad death. And that's a terrible death. So Hecarim is in the area. That Fiora did get first blood. Okay, well, it makes up for it with Feat of Strength being claimed by the Hecarim. But the wave is still probably going to be in this general area. Okay, the Fiora is going to TP probably immediately. You'll see she's going to try and push it. Push it immediately, because then the wave's going to reset. I'm not really sure why the Fiora didn't just base after getting the kill, because it was in this general area. It was going to be hard for that to get bounced back. She could have maybe been patient and wait for the Hecarim to come top lane. So yeah, a bit of a crazy top lane start. Not a great start for the Ambessa, it has to be said. But obviously there is a reason that we're watching this replay, so we'll see how the game progresses as we go. So healing, Vampiric Scepter already acquired for the Fiora, so that's going to make her dueling capability even stronger, because she's now going to regen in those duels. And the thing with Ambessa is the type of champion she is. She's not exactly the type of champion, like a lot of people say, oh, you're against a Fiora, buy a Bramble Vest first item. You don't really want to do that as an Ambessa, because you're not. I've always said one of the things with League of Legends, 9 times out of 10, the thing that you should always prioritize on the champion that you're currently playing is the fantasy of what that champion is. So if your champion is a damage dealer, you need to live up to the fantasy of being a damage dealer. You can't build tanky stuff on a damage dealer. And that's kind of the thing with Ambessa. So again, bad trade happening. Really nice, like, quick combos from the Fiora. She does get the cannon. That's what she wanted. And now this is quite a big wave. So I would say it would be quite hard for the Fiora to stop this in terms of, like, you know, holding it. She has got regen, so she might try. the best thing that the Ambessa can do is actually take a fight. She has the ignite. Yeah, that was actually really good. Take a fight when you've got a lot of minions, and that will basically put either Fiora in a negative of fighting within a lot of minions, or put Fiora in the negative of I'm having to run away because I'll take too much minion damage. So I think the Fiora there had the kind of like, oh, I can't fight right now, there's too many minions. Combining with the ignite that Ambessa's got, it actually caught out the Fiora quite badly, and that actually turned into a really good situation for the Ambessa. So instead of now this slow pushing, maybe Fiora try and freeze it for a while, Fiora's dead, the wave's gone into the tower, it gives her a free reset and bonus gold. So yeah, does show, like, again, the early game isn't absolutely everything. A lot of people, I think, would get in quite a negative mentality of, oh, I've given a Fiora first blood. It's going to be really hard to recover. She's a scaling 1v1 duelist specialist. What am I going to do? You can turn it around. And I would say, some people might be like, you know, does she go, if she's going TP Ignite just because she's against Fiora, that's the anti-heal, so you don't need an Executioner's Calling, you don't need a Bramble Vest, you just go for an all-in fight when you have Ignite. Obviously that would be part in the reasoning of having it, but if you go into their match history of what this player does, basically every game they go Ignite secondary on Ambessa. And I think that, by the way, is correct. You, again, living to the fantasy of Ambessa, you don't really need Flash. She has all the mobility in the game, literally the most mobility practically of any champion. Obviously, the lack of mobility that she has is she cannot jump over walls, but within the lane, she has basically the most mobility in League. You can see the damage is pretty decent. Fiora going for a fight. She's trying to get that vital proc, because obviously that's where Fiora's bulk of her damage is all in the vital procs. Literally, majority of the damage. A big minion wave again. Oh my god, did you guys see that? That Hecarim just ulted. Whoa, they've lost their mind. They've genuinely lost their mind. What the heck was that Fiora doing? That was wild. This, by the way, is like a Master Plus level game on EU West. So the Hecarim uses ultimate to simply get behind to then try to get a gank off. But then, yeah, like, doesn't respect the Ambessa ultimate, can use his mobility to kind of get back to safety. And then, I don't know what the hell just happened to the Fiora, but I think she literally just lost her mind. I don't know if she got tilted by the Hecarim gank being weird. I've got no idea. That was quite unique. Hecarim, though, he's trying to, like, help, kinda, with, oh, Janna, with, obviously, the Fiora having a quite bad play. The Hecarim just did a solid, by the way. Holding that wave for her is fantastic. Now, she is just kind of auto-attacking it. She probably shouldn't do that. Oh. Fiddle's here. Oh my god, this is a disaster for the enemy top side. Fiddle does go down, massive tower damage. Ignite being used, though, and now another kill over with now positive tower pressure. Leaving a Senna AD carry, I will say, is probably not the best thing in the world, especially to a Vayne. Enemy team, again, whenever you're leaving an AD carry by themselves in bot lane, you should... Lovely kill. You should be punishing that. So that's exactly what the enemy team just did. Janna roams top lane, the Senna has been punished. So that's exactly what you should do, and that's what you'd see a lot of lanes not doing, is actually punishing supports roaming. Support roaming is not as strong anymore. It has been nerfed. You know, there's only one set of scuttle thingies. Obviously, you've got to be very careful in the very early game with proccing the 2v1 mechanics up in top lane and stuff, and mid. But yeah, it has been nerfed, but some supports are still in that mentality. Janna probably did do that roam, by the way, because the Scuttle Crabs were coming soon. So the fight for the crabs has begun. Hecarim has ghosted. Just reminding everyone, because I know some people get a bit confused going, why? Hecarim has just ghosted. Why has he done that? He does directly gain AD. Nice kill over the Victor. The Hecarim does manage to get the second crab, though. Ambessa ultimate does land. Really long-range ultimate. That was wonderful. Tower dive now on the Fiora. Double kill. Ambessa has already finished her Eclipse, by the way. But yeah, that was overall pretty good. Enemy team does end up with two of the Scuttle Crabs. But again, that's not worth it. You know, the momentum shift, 3 of them have died. The momentum shift, the mentality as well going, oh my god, 3 of us have died. Ambessa double kill. How are we going to stop her? So that's where sometimes it doesn't really matter that you're giving Scuttle Crabs away. You know, Scuttle Crabs are still good to have, but you know, they're not the absolute be and end all. I think there's only a couple champions in League that I would say I'm truly scared of them having it. Number one right now, and I think it's just the way of League of Legends, is Mundo. Especially here in the US, Mr. Alois has made that champion a very popular pick. He has literally tripled both pick rate and ban rate on a US of that champion. And it's just all about pushing, all about just push, push, push mentality. So giving him Scuttle Crabs is scary. Yorick, obviously, is one of the best for it. And I'd even say Set. Set, to me, is probably the most underrated tower pushing champion in League. People really do not understand how much tower damage he can do. Obviously, Trundle as well. But, yeah. Look at this damage from Ambessa. So she's been around half health now for a while. Fiora TP'd back to lane on full health. And now Fiora has less health than the Ambessa. So this is, again, she's got an item, a full item complete. Fiora doesn't. And it's just the combos. Like, what Fiora needs to basically make her champion work is consistent trading, vital procs. And if Ambessa is denying the vital procs with her mobility, with also managing to hit her own spells, it's really hard for a Fiora to fully go in. Now, in an absolute all-in, with both of them having relatively equal items, I would say I would give an advantage to a Fiora when it comes to the champions. Now, you can see the mentality of the Fiora. There are minions that were still under the tower, and the Fiora is just trying to go all in on the Ambessa. So, oh, bad ultimate. But again, it's a bad ultimate use, but it's not the end of the world. Ignite is up. That's why, by the way, and look at that. Just walks over. No W use by the Fiora by the look of it. But yeah, if the ultimate landed, she would have died even quicker. But that's the thing. She doesn't need her ultimate to land. And I would say that is actually a critique that I know some people have had of, you know, we say recent champions, but if you actually think about a lot of modern knee champs, a lot of them are strong even without their ult. You know, Yone is strong without his ultimate. Ambessa is strong without her ultimate. It's a bonus if you land their ultimates. They don't need them. Whereas something like Fiora, she realistically needs her ultimate to realistically win. So yeah. Overall though, nice play by the Ambessa. Here starts the Lethality. So obviously, Eclipse, officially not a lethality item, but it's a bursty bruiser / assassin item. But now actual lethality is starting to get built. So I believe maybe even Yumu's, stuff like that. Obviously, Talon in mid lane. Again, rare to see a Talon in mid. There are some specialist people that play Talon in mid. He's just quite, how do I say, he's hit or miss. It's very hard for a Talon to snowball within his own lane. A lot of what he needs to do is all about roaming. Janna, by the way, in top lane again. You know, I can't blame the Janna fully for not prioritizing the Senna. You know, you're not going to really snowball a lane phase with a Senna. It's just not going to happen, especially at this rating bracket. So Hecarim going to try and run away. W does land, but again, Senna's damage at this stage of the game is very low. But no, yeah, Talon jungle I think is fantastic because, like I said, you know, you're not going to snowball mid lane realistically on Talon. It's all about roaming, but that's the whole role of jungle, is basically you're permanently roaming, right? You're ganking here, ganking there. So for me, I would probably put Talon just in mid all the time. But yeah, so you can see how the Ambessa's playing. By the way, look at that damage. Here comes the all in, misses the ultimate, does proc her ultimate, flash as well. But here's the thing, the mobility for Ambessa, can she get away? One more Q for Fiora is going to get the kill. So like I said earlier, the absolute all-in I do give to Fiora. The Ambessa without the Ignite is going to be in trouble. And if she procs the Vitals, if she gets her ultimate healing, Fiora, never underestimate Fiora. So like, this is funny that this lane is kind of gone both ways. Early game, Fiora got the first blood from Ambessa not having full confidence, then the Ambessa recovers it. And now the Ambessa is really ahead. You know, she's an item complete. They're both an item complete. But then she's got 2 components and a Doran's item. Fiora doesn't even have a Doran's item. And that, by the way, is First Blood Tower. So this thing, if you give a lot of meta top laners a bit of time, and that's that again, the negative Ambessa, she can't jump over walls. Yeah, if you give any basically meta top laner time, the tower's going to die in one push. Now again, Hecarim, very powerful solo queue champion, but is also incredibly squishy, and he's dead. So I don't even think the Ambessa needed to ignite then. I think she didn't need to waste it, but she wanted to secure the kill. She may have not known 100% that Hecarim didn't have ultimate, so, you know, securing it from that. But yeah, she's recovered with a nice kill there, but that whole thing did just give the enemy team completely feat of strength. Obviously, they got the first 3 kills. I don't think there's been 3 objectives taken in total yet for either team, but that was first blood tower. So, yeah. Talon does get a solo kill on the Victor, by the way, which I'm impressed with, but it is Rod of Ages Victor. So Rod of Ages has been nerfed as an item, and you're building a scaling, ramping up item against something like Talon that wants to snowball early. So it's a weak scaling item, like a weak item that, well, a strong item eventually, but gives you a weak early game. So that's kind of exactly what a Talon would want you to do. So Triforce will be Fiora's second. Interesting enough that she's not prioritizing boots at all. Even though, again, a lot of this lane is about mobility, realistically, they both just are jumping into each other. So you could argue that you don't need movement speed in the early game when you know when Ambessa is going to jump on your face, when a Fiora is going to jump on her face anyway. Like, they're just going to do that to each other, so you don't need movement boots. Now, again, it could say, though, mistake by Fiora in the fact that they do have feat of strength. So, you know, their boot upgrade is an even stronger version of what the opponent could even have. And by the way, there is a meta basically starting. This boot, the upgrade boots to lucidity, and the upgraded version is the strongest boot in League of Legends right now. And there is a meta happening that basically people may get the tier 1 boot, or, you know, having the rune, the kind of free boot. They do not upgrade them. Look at this trade. And bye-bye Fiora. So yeah, some people, they just have the base boot. They will not upgrade the boot at all until they know who gets feat of strength. And the moment that if they know that if they have feat of strength, they will buy boots of lucidity on practically every single champion in League. Unless like you're an attack speed centric champion, they'll buy obviously berserkers. But if you're a champion that is relatively ability focused, this boot is by far the strongest, especially with the upgrade. So there is a meta approaching that people are not buying an upgrade until they know. Whoa, Ambessa going for the all-in. Look at that center ultimate. Vayne does a really weird Q into the Ambessa. Thresh with the hook, though, does go down eventually, but that will also be a dead Hecarim. That was a lot of bursts coming down on the Vayne. Fiora heading over there again. Senna AD carry is... Look at this. Look... It does get the kill eventually, but she was auto-attacking for a very long time then, just not doing that much damage. Oh, God. But, yeah. Don't know where the Janna was at the time, and obviously Talon was all the way in bot lane, but overall, not a terrible fight. Hello, Zelj. Alright, okay, so not a Yumu's. She has opted for Hubris, and with, I didn't even notice, but she's already vanquished 3 champions from purchasing it. So again... When a champion dies that you damage within 3 seconds, gain 15 attack damage plus 2 per champion killed. So it is another kill for Talon. It is the version basically of Medjai's more or less for AD lethality champions. Obviously it's not a lot, but if you vanquish, you know, over the course of a game, you buy Hubris as one of your first items, you kill 10 champions. Well, that's a bonus 20 AD. So it can add up quite fast. But yeah, there by the way used to be... Oh, Vayne, what are you doing? Nearly gets just one shot. Literally nearly gets one shot. Had to cleanse the ignite from the Ambessa. And Hecarim is basically getting one shot. Wow. Look at this damage. Again, it's Eclipse and Hubris together. It's so much. Vayne goes down. Yeah. So basically this Ambessa it's high aggro, high risk, high reward. And you also have to play to the fantasy of being high aggressive. If you play this and you play relatively reserved, Edge of Night has already been purchased as well. If you play this and you play relatively reserved, by the way, it won't work. Like, it just genuinely... Look at this. Look at this. It just beats up a Fiora like it's nothing. Jesus. But you have to play all in. If you play this and you're not playing with confidence, by the way, you'll likely not do very well. You'll just be sitting there, not engaging, not doing anything, and just not achieving something. For this to work, you have to be aggressive. You have to be on the enemy team. Basically, every time you go back, you buy, you go in, and you go all in the moment you get back to lane. That's basically how it's played. And again, another double longsword purchase. Still no boot upgrade for either, not a single boot item for the Fiora, and just the free boot for the Ambessa. Is worth knowing her runes: Grasp of the Undying, Shield Bash, which obviously her W is a shield, Second Wind, and then Overgrowth, and then it's Magical Footwear, which is the free boot, Biscuit Delivery to help with lane sustain, and then attack damage, and what's interesting, it's flat health. So flat health, so obviously you've got two choices of health when it comes to the runes. You either have flat health or you have health per level. She's gone for flat health because she probably knows her absolute early game before any items is where she's going to be the most vulnerable and where she wants to try and build a little bit of a lead. So actually being a little bit more health, you know, a little bit more health is going to help her more in this game than having more health eventually at, you know, level 14 onwards or whatever. So Atakan is being taken. Fiora is all the way down in bot side, and likely what the Fiora is going to end up doing, it's a very typical thing when you're a top laner that it's not going well. What do you default to do? You just kind of PvE split push, and that is realistically what people end up doing, because it's hilariously very effective. You are actively being annoying that the enemy team does have to focus you, because if you just leave a Fiora to just split push and you just kind of ignore her going, oh, she's weak, just let her be bot lane, she will eventually just get into the enemy base. Ultimate landed. Look at that damage. Nearly gets the victor in one combo. Fiora does actually go down to the Talon. So the Talon has actually had a fantastic game here as well, by the way. Which is good to see. I wouldn't have expected a Talon to have a fantastic game in mid lane, but he has. Oh. Okay, wow. He's dead. F in chat for Victor. So again, what I would say with these fiddle ults, and if you've been paying attention to them at all, this fiddle is very decisive. He is going, I'm ulting, I'm flashing, I'm just going to use it all, you're dead. Every time. Like, it's just, he's not wasting them, he's just being decisive. And again, a Hecarim that hasn't snowballed. Hilariously, you could even say a Hecarim and Ambessa are relatively similar to each other. This is not going to go well for you, friend. Yeah. I don't know why he did that. Yeah, both, I would say an Ambessa kind of wants to try and snowball, especially with this build with Hubris, obviously. Hecarim is kind of a jungle version of that. You want to snowball on this champion. If you don't, you're going to struggle, because fundamentally, what are they? All-in champions. All-in champions are fantastic when they get fed. They look broken when they get fed, because you're just getting all-in and you die. But then when you... Flash from Victor. When you play an all-in champion and it goes badly, they look like the weakest champion in the game, because they can't play any different. If you're playing an all-in champion, you have to go all-in. And that, again, like I said, if you are fed, you go all-in, the enemy dies straight away. If you're weak, you go all-in, you get killed straight away. There's no other way you can play. Alright, so red team looking to kind of put the... final nail in the coffin. As I said, another fiddle ult. So again, so far, not crazy multi-man fiddle ultimates. He hasn't had like a 3-man ulti hit. He's just landing one, killing one opponent with it, and then being like, right, we've got priority now. It's an effective way. A lot of the time, if you're playing a fiddle or an Orianna and you're like, no, I'm waiting for that massive multi-man ulti, a lot of the time that's never going to come. So you may as well just kill one person, and that's going to give you numbers advantage anyway. And that looks to potentially be the game. So if I had to guess, it would have been another lethality item for Ambessa. Is worth mentioning. She finally did get her boots. But there we go. Ambessa. I likely will be giving it a go. I think maybe tomorrow, or maybe not tomorrow, but I want to do a... I don't know what the hell that sound was. I want to do a recording session soon that the whole theme of it, maybe in... Unranked to Master, is champions that I should pick up, or champions should I pick up. So an Ambessa game, an Aatrox game, you know, champs that are borderline, a Azir game. People have always said, Huz, please play Azir. It kind of goes what you like. So I think we'll do a recording session of that soon. But yeah, that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.
Play. It's Games bringing skill every day. From tips to tricks and play so fine. You learn the game and have a good time. Thanks for watching, you're the real MVP. Hit that like and sub, join the family tree. Like, comment, and subscribe. Keep the hussy dream